The New York University is committed to supporting academic progress and success during this pandemic, and the university is also focused on mental wellness of its students. We spoke to Assistant Dean at the NYU School of Professional Studies, Sonal Pande, bringing in much perspective on the education system during COVID-19 crisis and NYU's response to it. Here is the story.
What have been some of the financial impacts on students, and are there resources available to financially help them throughout this period? I'm talking about people that are on grants, students that are waiting on certain support and resources. What has happened to all of that?
Again, a very challenging situation for us. So I'll give you some examples. So over the last few weeks, when we were trying to get our students back home safely, not everybody has the resources, for example, to book a flight at short notice. And so the university really spent close to about $3 million out of its own resources to get students back home. And the next course was that a lot of students needed immediate financial assistance. They needed assistance finding housing or getting the technology support. There were all kinds of ways that students were impacted in. So the university has so far, since we have shut down and gone to remote instruction, given out just over $4 million in emergency aid funding to students. And we will continue to do so to ensure that our students and, especially our faculty and staff as well, not to exclude them, are best supported. In addition, because students moved off campus and we're no longer utilizing on-campus housing, we're no longer utilizing like the dining facilities, etc. So the university has refunded students, and that came up to about $60 million.
Well, students are truly at the heart of this crisis of all age groups, and the education system is kind of in crisis in parts of the nation as well. I wanted to know how the students of NYU particularly are reacting to the remote learning, virtual settings, and there is anxiety and fear in the community. So how is the university tackling that with the students? Because I'm sure that they must be, as shaken as all of us are.
Absolutely. And I think what we don't realize is that a lot of students have gone back home, right? And also additionally dealing with a lot of situations at home amongst their communities.
Right.
Like I said earlier, this is not an experience that any student ever signed up for, and this is not an experience that any of us anticipated, right? So we completely understand that students are feeling a great sense of uncertainty. The online remote instruction system is a very personal experience. It's not the same for every student. So student support needs tend to vary across the spectrum. So we are really relying on our faculty. We're really relying on student services, staff that support students outside of the classroom, their advisors, to really stay looped into what is happening and have that conversation, keep the door open so that students feel that if they're struggling, then there is somebody they can talk to help them out, right? A lot of faculty I know are going out of their way to provide that extra support even outside of what is required of them. Advisors are working overtime to try and curtail uncertainty. My services and career services on campus are doing extra programming, providing extra avenues for students to feel supported in terms of looking for a job or an internship. Everything looks so different. And the problem is everything is so uncertain. We really don't know what things will look like 3-4 weeks from now. And it's not just New York City, what things will look like for our students across the globe. And so the challenges are so unique, but we all recognize the fact that the health and wellness, mental wellness of our students, and the fact that they need to stay on track in terms of learning outcomes is the top priority. And then everything that we build and we design and we develop kind of pans out from that.
There's also a huge body of South Asian graduate students at NYU as well. What is happening to these programs, and what is happening to these students that are on student visas or are, in these bigger programs that could be halted right now?
So that's a very good question. There's a huge, as you mentioned, there's a huge body of graduate students. My school, the School of Professional Studies, we are primarily a graduate school. So at any given point in time, we have about 4,000 students on our rolls. The huge majority of them are graduate students. We're also the second most international school on campus. So I can talk from a very personal experience to say that, our student body has been greatly affected. The Office of Global Services, which essentially guides students and handholds them through their visas and the student statuses, is very much on board. They're staying in constant communication with our students. Again, from the university's perspective, things are still very fluid, right? Like, there are always new directives coming out, things are changing. So the university makes sure that we stay really on track, on top of the changes happening, and are communicating, especially with our international population of students.
Right.
Part of them who are still here in the country, haven't left. Some of them who've gone back. How is everybody affected, and what to anticipate? We do the best we can. Do we have all the answers? No, but we try to keep them as up to date as possible. In terms of supporting this international population, especially the South Asian community,
right,
it's a challenge, right? Because a lot of the community building that happens, there's a very vibrant South Asian community on campus in New York.
right.
They can't meet in person. They can't connect in person. So what we have done 2 weeks ago is we've launched a project which is called the Violet Network. It's an online global platform, which is available currently to all alumni and the class of 2020. And in the coming few weeks, we will be opening it up to the student body at the university. And the idea is that students can not only just network and connect and mentor with alumni and industry professionals on the platform, but they can also find their own communities. So we have a lot of groups on that particular platform that are country-specific, region-specific, even city-specific. So I know that there are groups, for example, on the platform for students who belong to India or students who belong to Bangladesh. And so they can really find their community there and connect and kind of support each other through conversations and other